Live. 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 I see live. Alright. Now let's get the chat open on my phone so I'll be able to read it. Actually, I should probably go tweet about this live stream so that anyone knows about it. And yes, I am talking specifically right now for the people who are going to hear the VOD. Because I've been leaving up the VODs. People like the VODs. As long as I remember to monetize them, they're worth having up. But this one in particular, I'm interested in reading comments on. So if you are sad because you missed the live stream, don't worry. I intend to actually keep up with the chat, the comments that are left on this. Come talk about ideas for a Ygg Studio community with me on live stream right now. Link in reply. Because Twitter doesn't like YouTube links. But if you put it in the reply, ooh, I had a typo in that. But because I have Twitter Blue, I can undo my typo. And let's see. Come talk about ideas for Ygg Studio community with me on live stream right now. Okay, the tweeter is out. Let's see if anybody's in the chat yet. Alright, hello. Wizard Pirate 90 sup. Ellen Nebauer, hello. Stan Nature, ayo. Wizard Pirate 90, ooh woo. Nasterpiece, Natsterpiece, hello friends. Aaron Harrell, what are you feeling right now? I'm feeling hyped to do this live stream and have this conversation as a distraction from how sad I was feeling a minute ago over the fact that my videos got blocked. I woke up and both the Akebi-chan video and the Ninja Scroll video had been blocked again. Both of them for footage pretty close to where they had already been blocked. And I don't really understand why it didn't catch it the Ninja Scroll video I had to re-upload like 6 times or something like that. Because it kept catching different moments, but it wouldn't catch all of them, like all the things that were problems. And then finally it's been up for a day, and it snags on one of the same places it had already kind of snagged before. So I was like, fuck, what did I really need to just take this whole segment out and use different footage or something. Like, it can be really difficult to determine exactly where the line is on what you can and can't do, and I try to be kind of reckless and push my limits a lot of the time, and I don't know why. Probably because it's easier. But yeah, the Ninja Scroll video got taken down, and the Akebi-chan video was taken down again. But I contested both of the claims this time, and Akebi-chan seems to be back up. It seems to be approved again. So if you missed that video, go ahead and check it out, download it before it gets taken down again for some reason. So that one's back, but Ninja Scroll I still have to work on probably and re-upload it, which is fine. It's just the job. California is facing an apocalypse. It's fun and everyone is nice. What kind of apocalypse? What's going on in California? I haven't heard about this. Twitter doesn't like anything, just Twitter is a horrible website. They like stuff. They like art. It all depends on who you follow. I don't know. If you're like, the funny thing about Twitter is that you can be really like sad and upset about it, but like, why are you following stuff that makes you sad and upset? It's probably because you're following like content creators who you like, but like not necessarily their opinions on fucking everything. And most people feel the need to share their opinions on fucking everything on Twitter. And I was one of those people for a very long time. I've really kind of tried to curate my Twitter down to just talk about shit that like I actually care about and know something about, have experience with, have something meaningful to say about, and art retweets. I retweet art all day long. And I try to cultivate like a very specific sort of aesthetic on the Twitter so that, people know what they're coming for. Like, you know exactly what you're getting out of the Twitter if you follow it, I want it to be a pleasant experience. But there's lots of people who are like just out there to vent their frustrations at the world on Twitter. I'm not even playing this video game. I'm just answering chat right now. But yeah, my videos were blocked. Yeah, Akabi-chan is back. Will there be any more Elden Ring journalized vids? Absolutely. I'm basically, like, those videos did not get very many views, and it upset me, because my channel is pretty dead. And, it takes a lot of work to do those videos. Like, a lot to just fucking, you know, even think about my playthrough enough to figure out what to say, write out all these words, edit it to the footage in a reasonable way. And, as soon as I got like a couple videos deep and realized how big of a project it was going to be, I was like, I want to do this in front of a larger audience if I can. Like, I'd like these videos to have some kind of opportunity. So I've really been trying to jumpstart the channel again so that, like, you know, so that someone will pay attention when I'm actually doing like a big, interesting project. Anyway. Blah, 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 blah. What's your Elden Ring build looking like right now? This is on screen here. Let me open up this, not that. This. Status, no. Pick up my controller and actually address this video game. This is going to be strange because I don't usually solo live stream. I usually am like on chat duty while someone else plays video game. So we're going to try to balance it. But yeah, I'm level 53. I've put 22 points into Vigor because it's basically every guide on this game is like, you know, no matter what build your build is, you're going to want to have 40 Vigor by the end of the game. So I went all out and just did it. And I have a lot of strength because I like to deal a lot of damage quickly to enemies, and also I do bleed damage with my weapon very quickly, so because I also have a ton of arcane. So yeah, it's basically a bleed strength build. The faith is boosted because I have an item on me that boosts faith, so it's artificially boosted by that, which is so that I can use those dragon moves that you see there. And then I probably didn't need to put any points into intelligence. I wanted to be able to use ranged spells, but being able to use fireball is better anyways. I don't know, it came in handy like twice ever. So I haven't gotten to the point where I can respec yet because Renala kicked my ass up and down the other day. Dexterity I put points into because I was using the halberd before. And endurance because I thought that I would fat roll if I had a medium load, which is not the case. And oh shit, I forgot where I was. I forgot this is a place where if you just walk around, they fucking rain lightning on you from the sky. So yeah, this is like the best game ever made. And I will probably be playing it for a very, very, very long time. And talking about it for a very long time. At least until they make another one that's even bigger. I do think this game is kind of like a prototype. Like, I don't know. Oh, I wrote about this in the comments of Noah Caldwell Gervais' video, because he just made this big 5-hour analysis video on the Dark Souls trilogy, having finally gotten around to playing it. And a lot of his realizations were the same as the ones that I had made when I finally got around to playing those games after Bloodborne had come out. So it was nice to hear somebody else say a lot of the stuff that I like to say just as eloquently, and, you know, and like all in one big video where he's also going over everything about the games. He's also like enjoyed Dark Souls 2, which I think is a beneficial perspective to have at this point, because we all know what's wrong with it, but there's lots of people who do just enjoy it. I don't know, Noah Caldwell Gervais is like my favorite games writer who is still very active, because Matthew Matosis has kind of become a game designer now, so he's not really writing a lot of videos. But yeah, so it was cool to get him writing about Dark Souls, and I left a big ass comment where I was talking about how, like, when Demon Souls came out, that game felt like a full-throated concept. Like it came out fully formed, you know. And Dark Souls was like, okay, how do we take this idea and expand on it in a meaningful way, and like still get it out within like a time frame of like we're flipping these assets and like making another game out of this, but changing it enough to be a different experience. And so like to me, Dark Souls 1 felt like an experiment in a way that Demon Souls had felt like it was just like a complete idea. And then Dark Souls 2 was also an experiment, while Miyazaki's over here making Bloodborne to do like it just feels like they were constantly building on the idea, and then Dark Souls 3 was when it was like, okay, here's all of the best of all that stuff we just did, we put it all in one package, and now you can just kind of like you can say, okay, here's the satisfying gameplay experience, the culmination of like all the stuff I really wanted out of these games, but like, in a way that mortalizes the artistic expression of that universe by being like, it has to end here, like this is it. You can't do anything more with this idea anymore. It has to be new IPs, it has to splinter off. And Sekiro took it in one direction, and then this game took it in another. And I think that this game is a natural expansion on like Bloodborne and Sekiro and all the Souls games and Demon Souls. It's a natural extension of all of it into one new idea of what if all that was in an open world. And like, so the next step from there is how do we polish that open world to that next level? What new mechanics will make it even more cool? And I think making it a little bit more similar to Sekiro will probably be the next move. Like making it, well, I don't know, because this is already really action focused, so I don't know if it needs to go in that direction. It might get like harder and more esoteric and weird, kind of like how Dark Souls 2 did to Dark Souls 1. I don't know, whatever it does, I'm down for it. I just hope it takes a really different visual direction. I think this game, I really appreciate all the gold and yellow and everything, but it is a little bit normal compared to Dark Souls 3 and how fucked that world was. So, anyway, I've been rambling about Elden Ring. Let me read some chat here. So, okay. To everyone who's here, I want to talk about the idea of creating like a Ygg Studio community, or probably out of some kind of forum, because I really don't like Discord. I don't, the whole format of it doesn't appeal to me personally, and like maybe I'll end up with like in an audience that skews older, which I would be happy with, by going with the route of using something like a forum. But I would much rather have like basically some kind of something that encourages people to leave the level of comment that they do in my comment section, where people are kind of writing their own miniature script response to the video in the style of the video, because of the fact that the video is written that way. And so like, if there's a way to make a forum that where the whole thing feels that way, I think that would be really cool. And so what I want to do is basically create a forum that is in itself considered a studio space. That like the gimmick of the forum would be like basically everything that you post here can and will be used as content in a video, and or in any it can be transformed in any way by anyone in the community, to do whatever the hell they want with. But in that way, you are basically encouraged to perform. Like, everyone in the community is kind of being held to task that you are just as important as anyone else that's in it, as part of what makes it good. And you'll kind of only really end up being acknowledged in a way if you can make it good. Because what I would do is, let's say, here's an idea I have for a show where I'll take an anime like, let's say, what's a good example of one I actually want to do? Gosenzo Sama Banzai. It's a show I still haven't seen. It's like a 6-episode OVA by Mamoru Oshii. And it's a classic. It looks really good. And I'm sure that it's something that would be interesting to talk about with other people who've seen it. But it also is something that, like, not a ton of people have seen. And if you just, like, brought it up out of nowhere, then it kind of relies on the audience to already, you know, be familiar with it, to have an interest in clicking on it. I'd rather create the interest by, like, having there be a reason you would want to watch this show outside of just that you get to, like, watch a video about it, but that there's something more participatory about it, or something more unique about that video to make it alluring enough to draw you to watching a show. And so in this case, my thought was like, okay, anime book club, right? Seems obvious. And it seemed obvious to me for a very long time. It's not a thought that I didn't have before, but how to go about doing it in an interesting way that makes for novel content is the question. Because I know from experience doing lots and lots and lots of collaborative work, people don't want to see collaboration like initially. Like, people don't like when you bring a new voice into something that that they're watching because of their familiarity with the voice that's already present. You know, they can become familiar with those voices, but you know, it's a lot easier if there's already a familiarity there, right? Like, the Game Grumps were successful because Egoraptor and JonTron were not only both already popular, but Egoraptor had helped make JonTron popular. So there was a huge possibility that you knew both of these creators if you were watching that show and were equally acclimated to both of them. Or you were coming in for the first time, had no idea who either of them were, and were just admiring the chemistry that they had together to begin with. So I think that's what made that show so strong. Whereas, you know, if, say, you know, it had just been Egoraptor and his wife, which was not as celebrated of content, it's because people weren't already familiar with her and, you know, didn't have that innate desire to get to know her, you know, in majority. And some people did eventually, and, you know, just came to like her by way of exposure, but it takes that kind of, you know, development of a relationship with the creator for you to really give a shit about them. And I've learned that in many ways over through all kinds of different, you know, collaborative relationships that I've had in my career. So, like, what's complicated about all that for me is that as a content creator, I love to collaborate, and I get a lot of my ideas from the community, from, like, watching what's going on within a community. And, like, a lot of the reason that my content has shifted over the years, I think, is that there hasn't been that community for me to keep up with. I have seen the anime community become the splintered and shattered thing, and, like, going by the comments on my Anime Fans Where Are You video, absolutely everyone is just on Discord or talking to their IRL friends or not talking to anyone about anime at all. It is purely fractured. Nobody wants to post on the open internet anymore because of the way that they'll be judged about it. You know, it's a difficult place. And so to me, it's like, okay, you know, it used to be that the conversation was just happening out in the open, and it was easy enough for me to spectate that, have my own reactions to it, and then say something about that. But when I say something about that to the tune of hundreds of thousands of people seeing it, then that person is basically being put on blast. And a lot of people don't want to, like, really be thrust into, like, a spectative sports world of opinions on the internet. And I wouldn't want my community to necessarily be like that either. You know, I'm not that interested in people having these, like, conversations about whose opinion's right and wrong. so much as accumulating all of the opinions and, having a measured discussion about how we all feel about a thing, without having to be competitive about it. Uh, so, like, the difficulty in that is when I was reacting to community opinion, um, I gradually came to realize that my audience was not observing the same communities that I was observing. Like, they weren't a part of it. They weren't out there reading the opinions that I was reacting to. So really their understanding of those opinions was only coming from the fact that I was like saying that people had these opinions, or whatever my framing of it is, is the only exposure they even have to the fact that whole conversation's happening. And like a lot of the information I'm sharing about anime that I'm, just kind of gleaning from whatever corners of the internet I happen to follow is then becoming the only exposure to any information that a lot of people have. And it put a lot of weight on me to, be someone that people are like, well, you have to be correct. You have to do a certain amount of research because people are looking to you as like as their one-stop shop for information on anime. And the problem with that really is, that it's so insulated. It's like I wouldn't want to be my own source of information on anime, but I understand why someone would want me to be their only source of information, because, if you just like the way that I talk about stuff, and that is the extent of your involvement with it, is because of the fact that it's what I cover and you like the way I write, which has been the case for a lot of people, then, you have no real reason to be engaged beyond whatever I'm bringing to the table. But so that put me in the position of thinking like, okay, I can't rely on my audience to care about any of the stuff that I care about that is leading me to the conclusions that I draw in my videos that makes those videos entertaining for those people. And I also like can't really devise a community based around myself because I'm not an interesting person. I'm just like, there's not enough, like, I'm somebody who is fun to talk to. I think for a lot of people, it's like kind of a therapeutic experience for lots of people to talk to me, I've noticed, because I don't know, I guess my perspective can be very helpful, but from my perspective, a lot of what I do for people is the exact same thing. Like, what I get out of it is no different. It's just me being myself and other people enjoying, having been around me. But, like, I often don't even really understand what I contributed to that, beyond just like thinking, okay, well, I know that I know I have a unique perspective. I guess you've never met someone like me, so I get why that's interesting or unique, or you don't get the opportunity to talk to someone like me, and I don't either. But like, I guess I am satisfied enough with myself as, like, I don't need there to necessarily be a bunch of me running around. Maybe I felt that way at a time, but that was when I was just so uncomfortable with myself that, like, I guess I felt like I needed someone else to be like me to prove that it was okay, that it was that it was something that someone could live with, but I don't really feel that way now. I feel pretty fine. So I'm not like seeking that same level of validation from like finding content creators that are just like me. I'm much more interested in learning different people's perspectives so I can work that into my writing, so that I can make, so I can cover things from more complex angles and satisfy more of the audience with what I say, alienate fewer people, and relate to more experiences by knowing more of what can be gotten out of the media that we all consume together. So that's why the community aspect is so important to me, and like, you know, getting other people's comments, and I still read all the comments on my videos. I respond to a lot of them. I try to hit like or heart on anything that's interesting at all. So so to me, if I want to continue perpetuating a community of discussion, you know, in the style that I want it to happen, and bring in different perspectives and collaborate, then you know, I'm gonna have to build a place. God damn. I guess I should not have gone there. I have to build something that's dedicated specifically to that. And like, the comments on these videos are already pretty successful at this. Like, you know, if you go and read the comments on any of my videos, they are satisfying to me as like the kind of discussion I'm looking for, but it is sort of limited to, you know, responding to my perspective. Sometimes I might say something like, you know, just, hey, what is your opinion of this show? And I'll get comments where people, you know, just lay out their whole stance on it. But sometimes I end up feeling like, man, I wish I had read all these beforehand. You know, I wish I had already been corrected on the things I was going to get wrong. I wish I already knew, you know, what other people think of this show before I go and try to make assumptions about how it might affect other people. And, you know, because there's no community, I can just go and reliably find the kind of discussion I'm looking for. I can't get that information. So I have to create a place that people are, you know, are making those kinds of comments before the video is out. And that means giving people a reason to, you know, to be watching the show and participating in discussion about it, basically for me to read it so that I can make a better video. So I had the thought of like, okay, if the anime book club idea is like get a bunch of people to watch a show and we all talk about it, then I would start with, you know, forum post. All right, here's the discussion threads. You know, we're all going to watch the show by this date or at this rate or whatever. Or we'll just have like a thread for each episode and you can discuss it at the rate you get there. Whatever makes the most sense. You know, all this is stuff I want to hash out with the people who are with anybody who wants to be a part of this forum, you know. And again, this is going to be very non-casual. I want it to be the atmosphere of it. You know, like the banner of the site will probably say like Ygg Studio is in session. You are here to perform. You know, you're being given a platform to. And you know, anybody could be here. It could be people who have no audience, people who already have their own YouTube channels, who are, you know, want to use this as a platform for their own self-promotion, people who want to just take the content and make their own content out of it. Again, anybody who's in the community can basically do whatever they want with whatever's posted there, would be the rule. So, like, you know, for me, my approach would be every couple weeks maybe. Oh, I guess I haven't been here yet. Every couple of weeks, I'm getting invaded by Edgar the Revenger. I guess he doesn't like that I picked up that stuff. Get it? You're not happy, but we can resolve. Oh, that was... Oh, alright. Nice moves, buddy. It seemed like I had already activated that Site of Grace, but I hadn't picked up any of those items. That was strange. He just kind of like walked all over my body. Sorry, I haven't been reading the chat at all because I've just been like ranting on and on and on. I've got a super chat here from FMWoo for $5. Says, can't help but notice you have your neurotype chart on your YouTube. Do you still agree with what you said in that video? Or don't have your neurotype chart on YouTube? I do. I think the neurotyping idea is really good. I've been trying to figure out how like to re-present it, you know, because at the time that I made the the neurotyping video, it was like, this is a fresh idea. This is I'd been trying to find my way to something like it for a while, and then when like the way it broke down dawned on me, then it was like, okay, I have to share this with people so I can get more information on it, get other people's perspectives. And it seemed like to most people it was just such a new way of thinking that it was really difficult to even expand on, that it was other than to compare it to stuff that had already been done, like the Jungian archetypes and stuff that partially inspired it. But like, does it need to be 16 different categories? Do there need to be as many? Does it need to be broken down the way it is? Is it so much broken down by like lexical versus impressionistic, or is it more like sound versus visual and stuff like that? It's just like the more people I talk to about the way they think, the more I realize that people just think very differently. That like two minds do not work as alike as you would think. And I think a lot of the commonalities come from just the fact that like like within one community, the people there are more, if they spend a lot of time together, are more likely to think similarly, because the only people they've ever spent time around are one another, and like what other influences would they have? But at the same time, they're not in each other's minds, and so like it could be that they have really different reactions to things and just communicate similarly, but like the way you communicate and the way you think are not necessarily that connected. Because the way you communicate is just so much more calculated, even by way of the fact that it has to pass through more filters in your brain before it becomes realized than what an emotional reaction or thought does, So yeah, I think just people think a lot more differently than we realize, and we present thoughts to each other based on tropes in media, like the way that we've seen thinking portrayed, and sometimes our thoughts are affected by it. Like, I have a lot of thoughts that take talk show format, where like it's me sitting in a chair across from generic faceless talk show, late night talk show host, having a quippy conversation about something, some opinion I have, or some outlook I'm defending, or some shit like that, because that's just the format where I would find myself, like, I feel like I would find myself sharing this thought, so it's, or sometimes it'll be a stand-up comedy bit, or it'll be, just any sort of trope that exists in media. But, it's not like all of my thinking happens that way. It's just these little flittering moments that line up aesthetically with something that's been presented to me before, A lot of creativity springs out of those flitters, but and whole personalities can develop out of hyper focusing on the way you think. I would say that the way I am is the creation of like deciding that analysis is what is right, or something like that. Analysis is what will get me through, or is my tool. And so the more I do analysis, the better. And just without question did that for a very long time, like not really even thinking about whether there was another way of thinking. Ow. Okay, I remember this place. Let's fight some bad guys, shall we? I've just kind of been running around this world. Let me make sure I actually answered whatever you asked me. Oh yeah, about the neurotyping. Yeah, I'd say I pretty much answered that question, right? I will definitely find a way to recontextualize that whole thing and make it like less complicated and more palatable and like easier to explain, and not so filtered through anime characters, because that makes it difficult for me to explain it to just regular people. I guess I didn't anticipate how, like, groundbreaking people were going to find it to be. I already am reading it. There's a lot of long comments in the chat. I'm not going to be able to read all the very lengthy stuff in the chat here because, this is more focused on my sort of proposition of a community. But I'm glad to see that there are people here in the right spirit already. Because, that's the thing about, go on Discord or in a chat like this, a live stream chat, which are both types of places I don't spend a lot of time. It's also impermanent and frittering, and it's one thing if I understand for you guys who this is the only interaction you can really have with me most of the time because and it's very immediate where there's more likelihood that I'll actually see what someone's saying and have a response to it on the fly. But oh Jesus fucking Christ. But yeah, I need to get out of here. This is bad. I went to a bad place. But, fuck, I can't even remember what I was saying. I got attacked by the damn lobsters. The music got really scary in the game, so I was like, oh, what's happening? Take one of my headphones off, feel a little less tense. Actually, never mind. All I hear is computer noise, so that was even more tense. These are actually noise canceling, I found out. Okay, let me look. I see there's a super chat for 30 of some kind of currency I do not recognize. It's a strange symbol. Discussions on the internet quickly become an argument, which quickly become a contest to win an imaginary fight. Previous experiences on Discord made me avoid any kind of online relationship. I agree. And, yeah, and the people who are the most active in those communities are the ones who want to argue. That's the thing. The type of, so Twitter as an environment, it promotes quick, instant gratification and rage. It empowers people who just who are angry and want to satisfy their anger by taking it out on something that they can feel righteously indignant about. And Discord empowers a lot of people who are bored and really just want any excuse to talk to someone for a very long time and will perpetuate an argument with you just to take more time, just for the sake of the fact that they are so bored and this is what they are setting out to do for the day is to have some kind of communication with someone. And they're the way they like to do that is arguing. So I don't want to be a part of any of that. I'm not here to spend time, I enjoy discussion as something that I do with my time, but not just as a matter of course. It has to be worthwhile discussion, and that's not something that can just happen apropos of nothing. It requires not only a level of talent at discussion, but something to talk about. And, I can always find things to talk about, but I can't always find people to talk about it with. And that's where the community aspect, helps to generate that interest in people who might not have it otherwise in checking something out just for the sake of it or just to watch a YouTube video as opposed to participating in something a little bit, more substantive, but not so time consuming that it takes over your life or that you have to become hyper involved or any of that kind of stuff. I don't want the time crunch to be ridiculous where it's because I don't want to be at that pace. I'm not trying to run a show where, I understand that there's going to be people who are high schoolers who are really smart and really interested in this discussion and really bored and are going to plow through whatever 13 episode show I say we have 2 weeks to watch on the first day and have forgotten about it by the time the discussion happens, and that's not what I'm trying to go for, which is something I might have wanted back when I was in high school, when I was more like that. And it's not even to say that I'm not going to marathon these shows in a day, but I'm going to do it the day beforehand, and and take my notes and be ready for and have read the discussion, or maybe I'll have watched it right away and then discuss it in the forums all week or whatever. That probably makes more sense for the way I'm structuring this. But the only person who will be like sort of tasked to be keeping up with everything that's going on in this community would be me. And I wouldn't even have to see like every single post. I probably will, but like because this is what I will be doing. But my purpose will be to source out good content out of it, find good posts that I can read or refer to or respond to, or I'll have the call-in show where I'll at the end of the 2 weeks after we've all had our forum discussion, I'll do a live stream where I'll have people call in, share their opinions, we'll have discussions. People can send in just sound bites of their comment if they want to, and then everything that's good I'll cut down into a video, and be like, here's you and I discuss this. And I think that would be really cool and lead to a type of content that, while very niche, the people who would be into it would be extremely into it and extremely involved. And again, it's something that you can really sort of be into on whatever level you want. There's going to be a forum where people can hang out and just talk about whatever other shit, or they can go make their own little sub community, which every community like this is likely to do. But the point for me is just to recreate, actually not even recreate, to create something that never really did exist, for me anyway, which is like a centralized community based just on analytical discussion to be presented in full as content for an audience, that like all of the discussion is considered content. And it's none of it is it's the least casual anime discussion forum, if that makes sense. Hopefully that would be interesting to people. I'm gonna read this super chat from TrueFox1 for $20. When it comes to couples / shipping in anime, what characteristics tend to pull you in about their relationships? What are some of your favorite couples or ships, and why? Basically just good chemistry. If two characters seem to work really well together, then it's satisfying to see them together. Ship wise, I would say that probably the most powerful ship in anime is Gon and Killua, because it's like fringe canon, and I'm sure the author doesn't disagree with its existence at all. And they're children, so it's not like they need to be like confirming their relationship in any kind of sexual way or anything like that, within the confines of the story. But they just are an inseparable duo that makes each other so happy by being around each other that it literally changes who Killua is in particular. Like, just realizing, oh, if I want to hang out with this person who I love hanging out with, I have to be better. I have to be held to task in certain ways that, like, I didn't respect society trying to hold me to these tasks, but Gon doing so is okay. And like, it's pretty adorable. And Gon just thinks Killua is the coolest fucking person ever for whatever reason. Oh, you skateboard and you're as tall as me? You're the best person I've ever seen. Instantly. And yeah, that's a joyful relationship to watch. I like most canon relationships in good romance shows. Like, I enjoyed the Bisque Doll show pretty much just because the relationship was like so easily believable, that it was like, yeah, this just seems like couples that I know, like just like with all the edges sanded off, basically. And Kare Kano, is probably my favorite romance anime for just the effect that, like, it's focused really on the effect that the two characters have on each other. Toradora similarly. So like both of those are really strong in that they represent like what can be so powerful about romance. But like when it comes to characters that are just like, oh, I love seeing them together, and I would, I think they make a good couple. Man, I'm not the biggest shipper because I don't spend a lot of time thinking about like what's not in the show. I'm usually trying to figure out exactly what the meaning of what is in the show is. Like if they're not a couple, I want to know why they're not a couple more so than I want to imagine how they could be one. Hey, I got a stone sword key. Those are always cool. Guess I haven't been up here. That looks scary. Don't do that no more. Stop with the bells. Oh, it's that. It makes that happen. Right. I've been ranting and raving forever. What is going on here? Yeah, ships. I was talking about ships. Are you worried the community will devolve into toxicity without strong moderation? So that's part of... Thank you for reminding me of this. Someone said don't add mods. Making Discord mods make you personally responsible for grooming. I'm not making a Discord. I'm talking about making a forum. But I definitely need mods. But I would need a dedicated, like... Basically, I need 1 or 2 people who I can rely on being there to check it at least once or twice a day and being enthusiastic about it long term. Well, not even so much enthusiastic. I'd rather prefer that they just are like, yeah, I mod 10 things. It's just what's another one, Like, I don't care. I'll do it. But I will have to put out a fine for that before probably launching the thing, because I do want it to be, curated. I don't want there to be a bunch of shit posting and stuff like that. I mean, there might be a board specifically for like quality shit posting, but if people are just coming in to be assholes, then they'll be summarily banned, because we're trying to create a show here. Like, again, studio is in session. We don't need people who are going to come in and try to fuck up the production. Everything that's on the site is content. So there will have to be, maybe instead of moderators, we'll call them curators. Their purpose is just simply to delete shit that sucks. But, like, I don't want them making judgments on people's, like, actual sincere attempts at writing something. The real curation will be in what I do or don't put into the content. But, like, so a YouTube creator I've always greatly admired and wanted to rip off more heavily was PBS Idea Channel, and Mike Rignota? Rugnetta? Is that it? This fucking thing teleported away. He would do a comment response at the end of every single one of his videos, and it made sense because his videos all had the same formula and they came out once a week, and the only reason I didn't copy him is that my content does not have those properties, so it just didn't make as much sense. And also, I go way too long on my comment responses. So, like, with the format of what I'm imagining, like, I would have already given my ridiculous long-winded discussion comments, like with the people who are in the forums, before getting to the point of making a video, which will actually be like, 30 minutes of just the best discussion we had or whatever. Something that's watchable. And so that will be what encourages people, I think, to really do their best, is like, well, I want to get into the video. I want to have had the most interesting content. And it'll also maybe get people to be less enthusiastic to open their mouth if they don't really have much to say, because you can see what people meaningfully contributing looks like and kind of get a better understanding of whether or not you are doing that, I feel like a bully when I describe things like that, but it is what it is. I gotta make the content good, or else no one's gonna want to be interested in this whole endeavor. And at the end of the day, like the audience for this is not the people in the discussion. You know, they're the performers. The audience is everybody outside. And so, like, me as the curator, the mission is make this somehow more interesting for the audience to watch than me just being by myself would have been, you know? And I think I have a pretty good sense of how I can do that and how to structure a video in a way where, like, you know, maybe it starts off with me giving my own thoughts and opinions, reading comments, you know, then maybe we start working in voicemails that I'm responding to, then we start working in the actual calls that I took with people, you know, like, just the more alienating the content, the further it would be into the video, so to speak. But it would be just a way to, like, you know, make the most out of all that's there. And yes, it is basically content farming my audience, but I think that's what you all want. We all want to be farmed. All we want to do is be a blood bag on a blood farm, hooked up to a fucking VR headset that's just nothing but Elden Ring and people talking about anime. That's pretty much it. And the Mars Volta and psychedelic drugs. That's all I want. That's what I want out of my life. So, preferably if I could do all of that out in the mountains somewhere. But I know that all of those mountains are going to be owned by Elon Musk in the next 20 years. And my best bet is going to be to experience the memory of Earth through a headset hooked up to my blood bag. Because all the billionaires want is our blood. That's all we are worth to them, is that we have young... Well, my blood's not that young, but it's younger than theirs. It's young enough. My blood's worth something, I hope. Because if your blood's not worth anything, I don't know what you're going to do in, like, 20 years. I don't know how you're going to live if you can't sell your blood to billionaires. Really think about that. Really think about your life plans if you don't have blood you can sell to billionaires, because you might be fucking shit out of luck, like, on life. Alright, I hope the existential dread has settled in. Let me go back to the chat. Ciaro X Rise is $10. Oh, Jesus, there's a lot of fucking big enemies attacking me. Ah! This is exactly like what I was talking about. They just want my blood, and they're bigger than life. Alright, well, they got it. I died. Oh, no. Alright, Ciaro X Rise at $10 says, do you have any lolly anime recommendations, preferably with a tinge of eroticism? Azure Lane Bisoku Zenshin is a good one. I don't know how lolly you are looking for. Strike Witches is the most obvious thing to compare to Azure Lane. And it's great. I don't know if it's... I think to most people it would be considered a lolly show, but it's only a couple of the girls are like lolly. But it is fun, and it's got a lot of fan service, and it's like the OG of the flying girls, plane girls genre. Not the first one, but the first one that was popular. What else is good? Lewd. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to unblock memories of lewd lollies to recommend to you. Chubra. Oh, Astaroth's Toy. Astaroth no Omocha. That's about like a succubus girl who falls in love with a guy. And it's cute. You'd probably like it, you sick, demented individual. Alright, enough of this. Oh god, I've run right into a whole farm of people. But yeah, so like, I think that by way of, by way of the curation of like what from the community got used in content, would make it clear, like what the sort of ideals that I'm like trying to put forward with it are, I guess. You know? It's like if people are being like really edgy and shitty, I'm probably not gonna put them in my videos, unless they make a really good point. In which case, I might, make fun of them, but put the content in the video at the same time. I got a jellyfish shield. What does that mean? Is it gonna look like a jellyfish? I hope so. How have I not been over here? Where the fuck am I? This game is so layered. This is where I just was, right? I guess I just hadn't been over to where the jellies were. I don't think I've been over here either. There's a bunch of sheep. Shut the fuck up. Thank you. I'll have those thin beast bones. Hey, it's a shoreline. I don't know if I've been down here. Oh wait, this is just the lake. Okay. But I haven't been right here. You look dangerous. Hey, I got some throwing daggers. There's been so many goddamn jets going over my house the last couple days. It is big time jet season here in Virginia, here in Hampton Roads, big time jet zone of the USA. Let me read this chat. How many hours do I have in Elden Ring? Like 40 or so. Will there be restrictions for joining like a paid membership like Patreon? No. I don't want it to be paid membership. It would just be purely community owned and operated. And again though, there will be a rule that like anything on there can be used by whoever wants to use it, just because like for me the purpose of this whole thing is to make content out of it. So the emphasis will really be on the idea that like eyes are going to be on this. You are doing this for an audience. This is not a closed community. You will be judged on the things you say here. In my mind, ideally, this thing would grow to a point where there would be multiple YouTubers making videos out of what is in this community that were successful. Because if the idea of it is something that can perpetuate itself, then and I don't want it to be limited to anime either. Like my thought here is this is a discussion community, analytical discussion community, that like if you're somebody who likes to talk about with other people your analytical thoughts about things, or to react to other people's analytical thoughts, this is a place where everyone there is interested in doing that as well. And also, there's like a meta textual creative element to it where people are generating, extraditional, is that a word for this context? I don't know. Content for it, stuff that like is like the whole thing is meant to be a show for an outsider, that if you're a lurker you can just read the forum and be satisfied. You don't have to post. Everything there is interesting, and if you watch the video, if you don't have time for that, you can just watch someone's video that re-summarized everything that went on and adds its own commentary, or you can just have your own level of involvement with it, but it's there and it's all open to be seen by the same people. It's all like, you know, inwardly commenting, so that there is a sense of like, you know, overall conversation of like conclusions being drawn and stuff like that, of like, okay, here's what we tend to think, you know, and some of us think this and some of us think that, and you know, I don't want to like, I would prefer to actually like attribute everything directly to the person who thinks that, because I don't like that kind of grouping together, like, oh, well, there's like a quadrant, 40% of us had this opinion. Okay, these guys had this opinion, you know, like, they may or may not represent, you know, a greater percentage of opinions, but this is the opinions they had, you know. I hope I'm making sense. I feel like I have to qualify everything I say 1,000 times. It's just the way I talk. It's why my videos are so fucking long. Will there be any restriction? No, I already read this. Trixie, are you planning on making more Elden Journal videos? Yes. I was talking about this earlier, but they just got so few views that I really want to like pump up the channel a bit more before I pour more of my like heart and soul into a big project that I really want people to see. Started hype on Red Man after watching your video and I'm loving it. Great. Is the next video Elden Ring video coming out soon? Maybe. I mean, I understand why there's a lot of demand for it, specifically in this chat where I'm playing Elden Ring. But the view counts are not that great. So I'm trying to I really want to hit video. Like, nothing is going to re-spark my growth other than a video blowing up newly. You know, I still get like 80,000 views a month on the Big Anime Face, How to Recognize a Terrible Anime in Just One Episode video, and like 30,000 on Asterisk War Sucks. And that's where most of my views are coming in, is on those videos, you know? So like, having another hit like that, or even close to it, would be a huge jumpstart. But every time a video comes out and doesn't get a lot of views, and it's like, well, I gotta make another one, you know? So, you know, going like deeper and deeper into this big time investment of a series that's not getting a lot of views just is not like a viable monetary prospect. So I want to keep doing it, but I need the views to be coming in while I'm doing it. But I have written some of the third part. Have I tried Delta 8? Yes. It is basically diet weed. It's alright. It's good when you're out of weed, and it's all you can get. Why make a new platform and not a Discord server? Because I do not like Discord, and I don't think it promotes analytical discussion as a means of, by like how it's designed. Like, a forum is designed to do exactly what I want out of this, you know? So it makes the most sense to me to do it as a forum, with a very like tight structure. Like, it'll make more sense when if like, you know, if I do exactly what's in my head and you see it, you'll understand. But like, I'm imagining, because, all right, I guess I have to explain a little bit about like the forums I grew up on, particularly like Mega Tokyo, where a lot of it was propelled by people who are trying to get. Oh, I didn't know this girl was here.
Oh, it's you. Well, what do you make of it?
They got fucked up. That's what happened.
I witnessed a sight much the same. The oppression of the weak.
Oh.
Murder and pillage on a waking nightmare.
Well, that's no good.
This time, and though the suffering cannot be undone, justice to the oppressors. Let the scars I carve remind them. I am Nefeli Lu.
Did she say justice to the oppressors?
I'm a woman grown, and though the suffering cannot be undone, justice to the oppressors.
Okay, she wants to bring justice to the oppressors. Okay, I understand. I kind of misinterpreted what she had said there for a second. Neat. I met the club girl. I guess because I had come here before I had met her the first time. I also didn't expect these skulls to be back. I didn't know these respawned. I wonder if... Oh, Fireboy respawns too. Great. This guy will one-hit kill you with a firecracker. Get off. Stop. 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 Yes. Yes. That's how it's done. Okay. I forgot what I was talking about. Right. So, back in the forum days, you know, people were just really excited to try to get other people to watch the shows that they liked. And so, you know, oftentimes, like, the opening thread of a forum was, like, a presentation on this show. It's like, here's what it is, here's what's cool about it, here's who worked on it, you know. It's like, it basically is a recommendation post. You know, can we have a conversation about this thing? Does anybody know about it? And maybe the first couple responses are just going to be, like, the sort of people who very quickly, like, oh, yeah, I know that, it's based, I love it, you know. And then there's going to be the, like, you know, people who have the more thought-out replies who eventually come in, and then the people who have to watch the show, and then they come in and they're like, oh, you know, I decided to watch it after reading your post, and I thought it was awesome. And, like, all of that whole conversation is something that I'm used to, like, having witnessed before I would even have watched a show, you know, much less written about it. Like, I usually have already read a bunch of conversations or analysis videos or whatever about a thing as soon as it starts getting talked about, you know, depending on my level of interest in it. And... or my interest in the authors who are talking about it, you know, like, it could just be that I don't care about the thing at all, but somebody I really like is writing about it, so I'm reading about it, and I might not even consume the thing ever. But, you know, so I'm like, I am the audience of this thing that I'm talking about, as like a person who is even less interested in actually watching a show than I would be in reading a thoughtful forum discussion about that show, you know, or watching, god damn it, watching an analysis video about it. That was, I felt like I was doing pretty well there, you know? I felt like my blood strategy was doing pretty good. I felt like I was really, going places there, you know, against that big man with the big swords. That guy is, oh, why the fuck am I here? I guess I didn't rest at any sites of grace anywhere that I was. Let's go back. Let's try to fight that guy again. Let's go back to the village of the Albinarics. I think I can take this dude. He's not that strong. Okay, he is that strong, but he's not that, he doesn't have good defense. Can I get out my horse here? Yes. Fuck you, fireman. Fuck you, bridge of boys. Going straight to the doglets. No, don't do that. I don't like that. Hey, my souls. Runes. What even hit me there? Hold on, let me watch this back on the stream. I do not see how that killed me. Someone please explain what the hitbox was on that attack just now and how that was able to kill me. I am calling absolute bullshit on that one. You tell me, chat. Is that me or was that FromSoft responsible for that death? the tension was high. I feel my heart is racing. I'm trying to do an entertaining show and have conversations, and talk, and I'm over here fucking having heart palpitations trying to kill this stupid asshole with the big knives. This little dog too. All right, come on. Let's do this stupid thing. Oh no! That was crushing. Literally and emotionally. Stop hitting me with your big thing. Get back, motherfucker. You don't know me like that. Eee. No, no! Why am I always slightly early on that? Oh, I died the same way every single time. It's like somehow magically on the last hit he just speeds up a tiny bit. And my timing's all fucked up. Torrent is a stupid name for a horse? I totally disagree. I think it's great. Because, you know, it sounds like a torrent of hoof claps, you know. Like, the sound of a horse is like a torrent. Do you think a hit of that level is even possible with how online anime discussion has changed since you were at your most popular? I'm not sure the kind of numbers your contemporaries are getting. My contemporaries are doing fine. Jeff, Mother's Basement is my most, like, the most shared viewership I have is with Jeff, and Jeff is fine. His videos do healthy numbers. I will tell you that I did not know this at a time when my channel was healthy. I have sort of posthumously learned that 50,000 views is like the target. Like, if you're trying to work with advertisers and, like, you know, be seen as like a serious YouTube channel, if you can regularly pull 50,000 views, that is what will satisfy most advertisers. And I just never knew this. I never knew what my videos were worth. I never knew how to, like, calculate it or communicate it to anybody, you know, and I didn't do a consistent style, and my view counts were inconsistent always. So, like, you know, a lot of people remember my view counts very differently from how they were at the time, not only because they've grown over time, but also because, like, there's just a lot of videos that people didn't watch, and so they don't remember that they weren't successful, you know. But, like, you know, all throughout that, I never knew, like, how much of a success is my channel. And there was a period of time, what I consider to be the height of my channel was 2017, at a period when I was actively disappointed if I got less than 100,000 views on a video in the first day. That was my state of mind, was like, I wanted, like, the ideal that my videos could reach was 300k. That was, like, the number that I was reliably hitting on my biggest and best videos. And so, like, if I thought I was going to get to that, it usually meant that I would hit 100k in the first day. If I hit 50k in the first day, that was usually like, okay, well, that's fine. It's not going to be, it'll probably hit 100, but it won't go above that, you know? And if it started off with like 10 or 20k, I was like, oh, this video's not going to go anywhere. It's going to hit 50k tops, you know? And that was my mentality at the time. And, like, you know, if I had ever been told outright 50,000's the number, dog, you know, I would have been quite happy because I could have just targeted that and it would have been much simpler. Which is kind of what I've been doing. If you watch Anime Alphabet, every single video is like, once this hits 50,000 views, I will do a follow-up, because that to me is the level of guaranteed interest that is required for me to say that this video was a success, you know, in, like, the eyes of the people I'm trying to reach with my content, which is people who are going to pay me to do it, you know. So yeah, it's kind of a, wow, I learned this lesson very late. But at least I know it. Ah, shit. So my most recent videos that have come close, that are going to hit 50k soon, are Crunchyroll Didn't Stop and I Hate Digibro. both of which are heavily in reference to my own past, trying to establish a continuity back to people who don't understand like what the hell the channel became, and like make them realize, yeah, I'm here, you know, I'm still doing the same type of content. Come back. But like you know, the videos that are just like, okay, this is like something that would have been popular for me back then, like those ones they are not hitting yet, and I think they will. And the best thing about YouTube is that you never know when your video is going to catch a second wind, so every single one of these has the potential to have eventually have done much better than they've done so far. I've had tons of videos that weren't like Haikyuu versus Kuroko no Basket is one of my videos that still gets a lot of views, still gets a ton of comments, and you know, when it came out it wasn't getting views. I changed the thumbnail and it sped up a bit, and then like months later it eventually just like blew up, and you know, it has stayed a thing that, you know, that continues to appeal to people. So, you know, I can never predict what's going to stay a hit and like what's going to dry up, what subjects are people still going to care about. Or I was pretty confident with that one, but you know, when it wasn't an immediate hit, then it made me kind of lose confidence for a while. So it can be a really fucking unpredictable job. Ninja Scroll or Cowboy Bebop are both great examples of like stuff that like is super popular with anime fans in general, and especially with my generation, and so there's always potential that those videos blow up. I have had Bebop videos that got like ass loads of views, and then I've had ones that did really poorly, and it all depends on kind of the framing of it, but and who ends up discovering it and why. But like you know, like when I made the Ninja Scroll video, I was like, I literally don't know if my audience likes this show at all. Like, I don't know how much of my audience has had an experience with this movie, and I was pretty happy that it had 5,000 views in like a day. Because, like, you know, that's as good as any of my videos about anime that just came out, that are still on people's minds, you know, and are popular. So, like, that video was on track to do as well as the Bisque doll video, and maybe long term even better, because Ninja Scroll is a beloved classic, and maybe it would have caught on with like the whole film circuit that cares about the movie beyond anime fans. I don't know, but it's blocked right now, so it has no potential for growth. And I don't know whether to like wait for the content appeal result before I re-upload it, you know, or like try again. Because I appealed Akebi-chan for the second upload, and it went through. It's back. It's up. It went up right before I started this recording. I'm getting worse. I'm getting actively worse at this boss. True Fox 1 with $5 says, a lot of your Substack writing is quite engaging. It would be great to see more of your writings turned into videos. I agree. The main reason I'm not doing that right now is that I'm really trying to, again, rejuvenate the channel, and those videos don't do well. So one of the things about YouTube is that, like, the worse your videos do, the less it will promote the next thing you do. It really is like like YouTube itself, the algorithm itself, asking, what have you done for me lately? Like, it you know, I really experienced the power of this back when I did the Dear Crunchyroll Stop video, because my channel was already in more of a dead zone at that time than it had been before. This was 2018, so like 2017 is what I consider the height of my channel. Early 2018, I took on too many projects at once, and I moved, and I don't know why I went down there to try to do that again. And I lost a lot of Patreon revenue, and I lost a lot of traction on my YouTube channel. And it was like over that summer that I did like a video every day all month for August, trying to breathe life back into it. And each video is doing like okay numbers, but nothing, you know, like 10,000, 20, maybe less, you know, 5,000 to 12,000 type numbers. until Dear Crunchyroll Stop blew up and got 1 million in like 2 days. And that meant that the couple of videos that had come before it blew up, and the couple of videos that came after it blew up, because they were all, you know, like relevant new content from me as this creator that has all these new eyes on them. So like, and you know, obviously it also gave a second win to the videos that I have that have remained big forever, such as the How to Recognize a Terrible Anime video. Anytime anything I do is successful, that video gets even more views, because it's the only one YouTube thinks is reliable that like people will click on this. Other than Astro Score, which people will watch it over and over again. So like, you know, I think if there was another success like that, you know, it would have the same effect, but it really is a matter of how YouTube treats your channel. So like, you know, for a while, my mentality was, if I don't have a big anime video like that I want to do right now, or that is, you know, on my plate, or that if I just don't have an idea that's like at that scale that people are going to be interested in, why not just post whatever I am interested in? You know, like, why not just post my Substack articles? Why not just post my music videos? And the answer is that if people reject the content, then YouTube will punish me for it. It, you know, will treat the channel worse. And I learned that the very hard way. So like those articles, you know, the Substack articles I have converted into videos have never done particularly well. They've done, you know, a couple thousand views, and part of that's maybe because I didn't have the best title or thumbnail, because they're just like such broad topics that it's hard to make them marketable that way. You know, that's why they're written on a blog. Like, I understand, like, I think, and I don't want to like say that this is what you are saying, because the editor of those videos, Asher, she had the opinion like, well, we should make more of these into videos because I want more people to hear these sentiments. That is going to work as much as you might think. Like, maybe a few thousand people will hear it as compared to a few hundred, but like, there's just not going to be that like massive spread. The article itself has as much potential for that as the video, because the kind of people who are going to resonate with these messages are the kind of people who read articles. They're articles for people who read articles. You know, they don't translate to flashy videos. It just feels like there's been visuals slapped on an essay, and people who don't like essays just don't like essays, you know? So like, if you are willing to read the blog, you are, you know, you're already predisposed to enjoying the thing. And I get why maybe it's easier to return to or remember if there's like a video or you just want to hear my voice on it. I don't know, there's a lot of reasons why it makes sense to make video versions of them, but like, it just doesn't make sense to post them like on this channel. And Asher had even talked about like, well, what if we had a separate channel just for that? And at that point it would be like, well, if I wanted that thing to grow, it would take as much work as running a whole YouTube channel, you know. I just don't think that it appeals to enough people like that wouldn't be willing to read the article for it to be worth converting it past the article. And I also don't know if I want to appeal to those people. Like, I don't necessarily respect the fact that there's so many people who just fucking won't read, you know. I understand it's hard for some people. If you're like dyslexic or whatever, that's a different story. But, you know, I don't read a ton of articles because I don't really know where to find great articles consistently. But if someone who, you know, reposts interesting articles does, I'm going to read it and I'm going to be interested. I'm going to go, oh, wow, that was cool, you know, and like, it means just as much to me as seeing a video version of it would, or seeing a video does. Oftentimes more, because I am a writer and I care about the writing craft more so than flashy editing does nothing for me. It can often just distract me and make me not care and just be like, why? I don't care that you can do all this stuff. I just want to hear the writing. I just want to hear the script, you know? So for me, like, you know, oftentimes actually getting to read an article is like really a giddy experience for me. And I wish more people were attracted to like the written versions of my content, especially like with Kusomega, like the light novel. Um, you know, not to discredit myself for having made an audiobook, but I'm sure that like the overwhelming majority of people have only listened to it and not read it. And I do think it's a different experience, and I prefer reading it to like I prefer the experience of reading it over the experience of hearing myself reading it, if that makes sense. So I don't know if that would be true for other people, but I definitely think that it's a different experience and one worth having, which is why I want to make my print version of that book. I need to finish that project sometime. I often forget that that is something I have not actually published. What's going on here in chat world? Anyone having audio problems besides Zinc? All right. Well, I feel like I've pretty much gotten my thoughts out there about my idea for a Ygg Studio discussion community. I don't really know where I'm going to like. I don't know where to start. Is the problem? I don't know if the start is just like make a forum and invite people in and see what happens, or if the start is like pick a show that we're gonna watch and talk about and like, you know, do the first round of this, see how it goes, and then like if it's, you know, how to make it interesting. You know, I don't know if I need moderators beforehand or if there's some like I'd like to have someone to build the project with, but I don't really know how to communicate exactly what I'm looking for to someone else that way. I will be looking into different formats and stuff. 'Cause that's the most important thing to get right, is the format of presentation for the whole thing. You know, something that lends itself to people participating the way I want to guide them to participate. No audio problems on anyone else's end? Alright. So, like, I really don't want to have a Discord. I think it will probably be necessary for there to be one so that there's a place people can call in to talk about the show when I do the call-in show. Oh shit. I did not realize you were still alive, or maybe you come back. No. Spacing. Oh, that was fucking brutal. Well, yeah, I probably should have seen that coming. Make a forum, invite a manageable number of people from your YouTube community, treat that as a beta test. I don't really like know. There's no individual person that when you say like invite people from your community, I'm like, oh, okay, let me pick these 20 people. Like, it's just gonna be whoever's there, whoever wants to participate in the thing. Sure, like, try that. I'm quite certain. I have no idea who will be interested in this. None. I expect it to be a combination of some people who have been following me for a long time, some people who are completely new, some people who are trying to, I don't know, promote their own thing. That's assuming anybody's interested. It might be literally not interesting. It might just be like a total fucking flop, and I can't get anybody on board. Because honestly, I don't think as many people are interested in discussion as I had previously believed. Like, to me, like, I came to the internet because I couldn't find anybody who would, like, talk about the stuff on the level I wanted to talk about it. And I found a lot of that on the internet, but I mean, the overwhelming majority of conversation about stuff on the internet is not that interesting. Most of it is pretty vapid, and I think that most of that is what has kind of dissolved away into, like, the Discord servers and people just kind of, like, you know, casually talking about stuff, whereas, like, you know, it does kind of feel like the only stuff that is left on the surface internet is stuff that is deeper and more analytical. So, like, what if we had a place where just everybody who's interested in doing that congregated and gathered, you know? As opposed to, like, there being, you know, 20 different people with anime YouTube analysis channels that, like, and not to say that I wouldn't invite those, you know, I want other people who do the same thing to be involved, but, like, I think a lot of people, like, would prefer to not have to fucking make a whole ordeal out of talking about anime every time they're interested. Of, like, okay, I've seen this show and nobody's talking about it, and I want to share my opinion, so now I have to make an entire fucking analysis video and do learn all these skills that I don't naturally necessarily have in order to present something to people so that they'll pay attention to it, as opposed to there just, like, being a dedicated place where it's like, no, if you come here, someone's going to want to talk about the thing with you, you know? You don't have to make a whole video show out of it and try to make a career to sustain your ability to draw people in to talk about anime with you, you know? And I don't know how appealing, like, there's always an aspect of pride. Like, for me, as a person who was a part of anime forums, part of what drew me to blogs was that, A, I wanted people to pay more attention to my, you know, specific opinions, and, like, make sure I was going to get responses that pertain to my comments on the thing, but also because you know, I would get in trouble in places like that. Like, I didn't necessarily fit in on those forums, and it was easier to sort of, like, you know, manage my own culture on a blog. So, like, I understand, and also there's, like, the aspect of pride of, like, you know, I want to, if I'm proud of what I'm writing, I want to kind of present it and have it be like, yeah, this is my content, you know, which is why I do encourage people, like, anything they post to this site, by all means, make it into a video, you know, make a video, link it on the site, at, you know, fucking, I'll, you know, if you post your video to the site, then that means people, you're giving people permission to take clips from your video to use in their video to respond to, basically. So, like, I just, you know, that's the culture I want to foster, is everybody's talking about it more directly, and less in this, like, scattershot messages in a bottle, I hope that someone gets my type of format, you know? Just, like, suicide crashed this whole place. Yeah. Ow. Nice swing with dogs. Oh no, that guy did it right. Let's see, he didn't. Do I like Turnstile? I've listened to Glow On a couple times. I haven't really listened to their older music, and I really like the sound of it, and I think it's really strong like, you know, like just straightforward sort of punk songwriting. It's not really like an album I see myself listening to a whole lot. I guess it's just not really the emotional tonality that I'm necessarily looking for, but I did like the sound of it. Is there going to be anything along the lines of what Content was, maybe in shorter form? I'm really thinking more like, you know, this being sort of the issue with Content as a discussion show is that it was just the two of us. And, like, while that does bring more perspective than if it was just one or the other, like, we had a lot of similarities in taste as well as a lot of gaps in taste where, you know, there's always going to be angles that neither of us really appreciated, as well as angles that both of us, like, hyper fixated on that maybe other people didn't care about. And so, like, you know, I think for a discussion to be that lengthy and not, like, satisfy every audience member maybe is painful for the people who it doesn't satisfy, you know? So it's, like, part of why I want to, my vision of what the like my final video would be, let's say if I propose, let's say I make a thread on this forum, and, you know, anybody could make a thread on here, so, like, I won't be the only one organizing group watches or whatever, but, like, at the very least you would know for a fact I was planning to make a video out of something I made a thread out of. So, like, let's say I made a thread that's like, let's watch you know, Gosenzo Sama Banzai, and then, you know, we all discuss it in this thread, and then at the end of a week or so, I do a call-in show where I get everybody to, you know, discuss it with me, share their opinions, I read comments and stuff like that, and then I would cut all of that together into a video that's probably like 30 minutes long to an hour, all depends on how much really there is to say uniquely about the show. You know, I would start by saying, like, you know, introduce the show basically the same way I did in the forum, you know, in the first post of the forum would kind of be like my script for the start of the video. And then I would maybe start by, like, having some reactions people had where, you know, the first episode is like this, and this person had this to say about it. And then I read the comment that they had, and I'm like, yeah, that maybe if I have something to expand on the point they made, I'll expand on it. Move on to, you know, the next episode, the next comment, or whatever, and it's just like a highlight reel of the most interesting stuff that people had to say about the thing, snippets of conversations I had about it, and just basically trying to represent more perspectives and, like, you know, make sure that nothing is left out in a way that, like, I think that's kind of what people really want from reviewers. Is, like, when people say they want an objective review, what they mean is they want you to come at it from all angles. And, like, there's a lot of people who consider my reviews objective, and I have always disagreed with that because I don't think it's really possible. But I've made the point that the closest thing you can get to objective is consensus. It's whatever the most people agree on being true is the closest thing that is to true. So if, you know, the most people think that a thing is good, then it's more likely, you know, you're more likely to find success within society and within conversations by agreeing with the fact that it's good than you are by trying to fight that notion, you know? So looking at things that way, like, the best way to get closer to what you might consider an objective review would be to find the consensus. And I'm not looking for, like, Arcata kind of took this approach where he would, like, read everybody's reviews and try to kind of filter it all through himself. Like, okay, I understand what everybody thinks, and I'm going to represent what you think in a video. But there was never any, like, reference to where the opinions were coming from. It kind of felt disconnected, and I think that's why people turned on him so hard when he made that video about Nozaki-kun, Gekkan Shoujo Nozaki-kun, because I think he had seen some people who were frustrated with the show, and maybe he shared those frustrations, but, like, it wasn't really the popular opinion of the show. Most people really liked it and just, like, weren't like didn't see those things the same way that he and the other people who complained about it did. And I think that was just a case where, you know, his attempt to use like the curation of others' opinion to generate something resembling his own backfired on him, in that people, you know, he was presenting it like, here's how people feel about it, and people are like, well, that's not how we feel about it, you know, like en masse. And so, like, it's easier to avoid that if I can say, here's how I felt, and then here's how this person felt, and then here's how this person felt, and here's why I disagreed with this person, and here's why this person changed my mind, you know, and, like, and then by the end of it, at the very least, I will feel like I have an extremely holistic idea of what people think about this thing, and, like, you can listen to me give you all those details and maybe even come to, you know, even more conclusions about that data that, like, maybe I didn't interpret or missed out on. So that's why I think it would be an interesting video concept, and I think it would... I think it's a new enough idea to maybe rejuvenate this whole sector, because I really think that what's hurting analysis as a type of content right now is that there's only so many broad things you can talk about that just apply everywhere that are interesting. Like, Every Frame a Painting was probably the best, like, film analysis channel, cinematography analysis channel ever. It was an incredible channel. And every video is this huge, painstaking endeavor to make just right. And each one made an amazing point. And then eventually there just wasn't another point to be made. Like, at that level with those tools, you know? Like, it just kind of felt like, okay, the project's over. I've said the important things I needed to say, and now I'm going to move on to the next project I have to do. And I think that's how a lot of analysis ended up. Like, Mr. B-Tongue, you know, he had a bunch of great analysis videos and kind of, okay, it seems like he said his piece, you know? And sometimes these people will reappear every once in a while to cover something specific. But, like, for me, I've reached the point of I'm just interested always in finding out what is unique about the individual piece. Like, I'm less interested in figuring out what everything has in common, because I already covered all that. Like, The Asterisk War Sucks is the video about bad anime. Unless there's something really uniquely bad about a specific anime, there's nothing new to say about bad anime. I covered it, you know? Like, is there more to say about good anime? Well, usually if a show is good, it's good for very specific reasons, you know? So, like, that almost always leads you into having to do, like, a super deep dive on a good show. It's a lot harder to talk about stuff that just works in general. And I found some of that, and I covered it. But, like, you know, if you want to perpetually be in a state of analyzing things because that's your interest, not because you're, like... I think when someone like Mr. B-Tongue made analysis videos, it wasn't because he spends all his time doing analysis because that's fun. It's because sometimes he sees a movie and he doesn't get it all the way, and he's trying to explain to himself why is it so cool, so that he can be able to present that information to other people. And for me, it's like I literally just enjoy doing analysis. I will watch a show so I can talk about it. I'll watch it at 4 times speed so that I don't have to suffer watching it as much in the process of getting to talk about it, you know? And I'll end up enjoying it because I was able to get something out of it. So, like, you know, that's more the type of environment I'm trying to cultivate here, is like, this isn't even about the media specifically. It's about what can we draw out of it? What's interesting to talk about? What, you know, it's a community for people who watch more analysis videos than they do content, you know, that is being analyzed. And, like, I'm always very frustrated by the fact that, like, so many analysis channels cover the same stuff, because there are certain franchises and creators that just inspire that, where, like, there's a ton of Metal Gear Solid analysis, there's a ton of BioShock or Deus Ex analysis videos, because these games, like, you know, they inspired people to feel the need to, like, go in depth to figure out... Dark Souls, another great example. But, like, what there's not a ton of analysis of is, like, random game about which there are 3 interesting things to say and that's it. But hey, once you know those 3 interesting things, you might be inspired in some very particular way towards the future. And that is what I want. You know, like, I'm cool with endless Dark Souls analysis. I watched 5 hours of Noah Caldwell Gervais very happily, even though I've seen fucking dozens of hours of analysis. Son of a fucking bitch. Of these games, but you know, God damn it, that really took the wind out of my sails. I'm gonna read Zen Huxtable in the chat. How much Audrey Nuna did you check out? I just listened to her that double album that the song you had in your Licks video was on. It was really good. I was in exactly the mood to hear that. So it's like I was listening to the Licks video, I heard that lick, and I went, all right, I need to hear the entire rest of that album immediately, because that is where I'm at. And it was good. There was only like maybe 2 tracks that I would probably be like, I don't need to hear that one again. Out of like a lot. Oh, it didn't work? My steed did not. What is it? Thank you. But yeah, she has a great voice. Some of the vocal melodies are crazy. There's this one where she does this like endless lift of just going up and up in notes, and I was quite entertained by it. Although the one of the songs I didn't like was similar. It had a hook that was like just this really outrageous melody that I was like, yeah, it's a little tiring. But it's really interesting to hear someone like sing rapping in a different, like a way that is familiar and yet very unique. I liked it. Kira Lou with $2 said, game over. That's exactly how I'm feeling right now. Easy Jake Oven said, like Seth's videos. I'm not sure if you're saying that something I described is like Seth videos, or if you're asking if I like them, but I do. Seth Zintalk. What I like about those videos is that he's somebody who pushes the games, like, he likes games that you can push to the most ridiculous extremes, and does do so. And in a different way from Donkey, where, like, Donkey is more about the on-screen expression of, like, you know, wow, I just did something that looked completely insane. And Seth is about, I just did something that systematically is completely insane. That, like, the fact the game allows you to even, you know, conceptually do this thing is incredibly bizarre and intriguing. But yeah, he plays the weirdest fucking games. The weirdest, deepest black holes of games that I would never know existed if not for people like that talking about them. Aside from Elden Ring, which he just did a review of, which was very good. Very good Elden Ring. It's all about, like, you know, when it comes to people who do reviews and analysis, your relationship with them is always one of trust, but it's not about, like, necessarily trusting them to be correct as it is, like, trusting them to be consistent. So, you know, like, I know exactly what YMS's taste in movies is. I reliably can, you know, like, when I see the score he gives a movie, it feels like it's reaffirming to me the overall status of his opinions, you know, and I can see how that evolves over time, but it remains fairly consistent. And, like, you know, I can judge my opinion in comparison to his. But, like, with someone like Donkey or Seth, like, it's more that I'm coming to their videos specifically because they're playing games I won't play, or in a way I won't play. That, like, I want to see it different, you know, or I want to see what I'm missing out on in these, you know, these experiences that I would never get for myself because I'm not imaginative enough to explore the systems that way. As you can see by, like, watching the way that I just kind of run into battle and bluntly smack enemies with a blade as opposed to using any kind of tactics or items or anything that could help make the boss a little bit easier. Nah, just run in there and whack him. Mostly because it is endlessly entertaining. It is funny to me to just whack the enemy and see like a huge thing come out of their health bar and hear this. No, why did I heal before I got hit? I got hit because I was healing, having not been hit. That is very distracting play. As you can see, I like to fight on my horse. If I can, I like to stay on my horse. But I can be a little reckless with the horse. I picked up my 0 runes. Oh, don't waste energy. Yeah. Get those combos. No, I don't like this. I don't like when he does this. This is not good. Look at all that destruction. Alright, let's return to the chat. We've had some fun. Intuition isn't universal. That's just an appeal to majority. Objective criticism is a bane to interest conversation. I agree. Glad this is up because now I can distract myself from the fact that I can't keep playing drums because I hurt my arms too much. That sucks. Joseph Anderson, I've never gotten into his videos. I don't know what it is. I guess it is that sort of trust thing where I don't really understand his viewpoint, I think. And that's the difficulty I have, is that like there are people who I generally just like don't even agree with. Or I just wouldn't like anything that they like, but I like hearing them talk about it. And then there's people who like can talk about a thing I like in a way that I don't like, to an extent that it makes me not want to hear them talk about anything. Where I'm like, oh, if that's the way you're going to talk about the things I like, then I don't know if I'm ready, you know. I don't know if I can believe in your taste, you know. So I guess I have some level of that kind of selection bias. But it's mostly defensive. I'm not usually upset if somebody likes something I think is bad. I'm upset if they, like, have a really weird, bad opinion of something I like, you know? I guess most people probably feel that way. I probably should have taken that, like, punish opportunity on this dude when he was all fucked up. But I really didn't want to get off my horse. No! Ooh! Ooh! No, not good, not good. Oh wait, actually good. Actually good somehow. Alright, let's do this. Let's go in for the kill. That didn't kill him. One more, one more. Yes! Alright, we got the Erdtree avatar down. We did it, gang. We actually, like, played the video game. I shut up for, like, a whole second and killed that guy. And I got some tears. That's all this game ever gives me. More tears. Cool, though. That was, this is the edge of the planet. You can see some birds. And this is a minor Erdtree. That guy was trying to guard it from me. He didn't want me to smell its sweet aroma or murder its birds. But guess what, motherfucker? Oh, that's what I'm here to do! I'm gonna murder your birds and supplant them with my own birds. Bird is currently asleep, if anybody was wondering, because he is feeling sick today. It's no good. But I'm here to play video and ramble and answer super chats. And I'm all out of super chats. the speed of sound. Got places to go, gotta follow my rainbow. Can't stick around, have to keep moving on. Guess what lies ahead? Only one way to find out. I'll also do song requests for super chats. If I know the lyrics. Must keep on moving ahead. No time for guessing, follow my plan instead. I'm trusting in what you can see. Take my lead, I'll set you free. Follow me, set me free. Trust me and we will get killed by an octopus. You die. I miss you going to random podcasts with random people. Me too. I should do more of that. I haven't been invited onto any podcasts lately. Nobody wants to play with me anymore. My SEO is bad, or my when you search me, you don't like what you see, and so it's hard to want to work with me. I understand, but if anybody wants me on a podcast, let the podcast know, or let me know what podcasts I need to be contacting. The only podcasts I listen to are The Dick Show and WATP. My appearances on those shows don't always go very well for me, so I try not to do it pointlessly. Though I will be seeing WATP live in Tennessee. Or is it Kentucky? I think it's Tennessee, in Nashville, right? Yeah. So, that'll be fun. But whatever other podcast you think I need to be on, let me know. Who do I have good chemistry with? That's really the question. I've been on podcasts that were very fucking boring, where I felt like none of the hosts were interested in anything I was saying. I've been on podcasts where I thought I was boring. But I've also been on podcasts where I had fun, so. Oh, a podcast that I've been meaning to do, or rather a live show, is Vito's Monday Night Grift. And I don't really have a recording environment for Monday nights, unfortunately. I've been doing all my recording during the day because there's a lot of people who sleep early in this house. So, but once I've got my own place, which hopefully will not take all year, I will probably start popping onto the Monday Night Grift, because Vito often gets onto topics that I want to talk to him about. I think we would have great chemistry together as hosts. So, I think Andy Signor does really well on there when he's kind of like activated to realize that the subject interests him. But otherwise, it's really Vito and John from John Breaks Bad News, like sort of carrying most of the episodes, it seems like. And I feel like I could get in there and take a lot of the weight off of people's shoulders, you know what I'm saying? Because I fucking ramble. And they need that, like, Vito clearly is going to keep talking about anime and all that kind of stuff. So he needs the deep tier representation that's going to actually make people, like, that'll legitimize him talking about subjects like that. But, yeah, I mean, I am invited. So that's just a matter of me being able to record. It's not even a matter of, like, Oh, I gotta contact them. Like, no, I'm in the chat. I just have to have the ability to do it. That's the other reason I'm kind of just like grinding through trying to get my channel grown, is like, you know, it's lots of opportunities open up by way of just having a channel that's popular. More people want to deal with you. You know, you have a better sense of where you're trying to guide things when it's not just kind of toiling away to try and make a hit. You know, having my videos get blocked really does not help with the whole process either. I gotta say, it's not fun. But you know, if I had a video that came out that's like, oh, this video blew up and got, you know, 500,000 views and it's about an interesting subject, then yeah, I'd have a reason to go on all those podcasts and tour and talk about this video. You know, oh, yeah, I made this huge video about this thing, this major topic that everyone's talking about that's relevant to your show because it's just such a huge discussion, you know, everyone's having right now on the internet. You know, it's just like the topic of the week, you know. It's like no one can shut up about it. I guess it's probably a lady because it drops an ovary afterwards and it's kind of covered in eggs and shit. So. Sorry for misgendering the land octopus. Thanks for the ovary. And the strip of white flesh. The ovaries are filled with human blood. The more you know. My mouth is filled with his ovaries. It's Jordan Mason and the Horse Museum. Do not recommend. That was easy. Bleed is so OP, I feel there's no way that it's not going to get patched weaker. Because I really do think, I don't know. I don't know how easy they wanted this game to be. Because, like, you can make it really hard for yourself or make it really easy for yourself in a number of different ways. But Bleed is just, like, such an easy discovery to make. It comes so early in the game and is so good when you get it that I just can't imagine that they intended it for it to be so goddamn good. Maybe I've just put a lot into Arcane and I don't realize like how much, like how OP my Arcane actually is for the state in the game. Hey, I've actually got some super chats coming in here for me to respond to. Oh, a bunch of them. Thank you. In Love with the Ghost with 10. That's not the. I don't know what that is. What's your favorite Gundam show? It's actually a tough question. My first exposure to Gundam was Wing on Cartoon Network, but I never really watched it. The first one I really watched was G Gundam, Mobile Fighter G Gundam, because they started playing that on the short-lived Saturday night action block that had Rurouni Kenshin and Samurai Jack and some other anime. I'm trying to remember, there's like another big anime in that block. Cyborg 009 was in there, but I was not that big into it. I think that was in that block. Maybe that was somewhere else. I don't remember. But I do know that I was a big fan of Kenshin and G Gundam. Those were like the two biggest anime to come out of that block for me. And I don't think I had seen that much of it though. Like I don't think I saw more than like half of the show while it was actually on. I don't know if it even lasted all the way through, honestly, or if it got like assimilated into Toonami or whatever, because that's what happened to Kenshin. But like after that, there was Gundam Seed, which did not appeal to me at all, and so like they had aired various Gundams on like various UC Gundams on Adult Swim, and I had never like understood them. Like it was just like a little too complicated. I think the first one though that I properly watched was 0080 War in the Pocket, and that was amazing. That's definitely one of my favorites, just because it's incredibly well written. It's a great, just like heart aching, you know, love story. It's gorgeous. So I think that's like probably, I consider that to be the easiest way to introduce people to Universal Century Gundam. Like it is a little confusing at first because the very beginning of it, like, you know, kind of assumes that you know about the 1 Year War. So like I will probably, for instance, show the original show to my husband before trying to show him War in the Pocket, because you know, I think he will like it. But like if I was trying to, if somebody was like, I don't know where to start, what do I do, how do I become interested in Gundam, I'd be like, just watch this one, you know, like stick it out through the first episode, and you know, get ready for heartbreak. But actually no, the first one I watched was Char's Counterattack, because my cousin bought it on DVD and I had no fucking idea what was going on, but I remember thinking all the action scenes were very badass. So then eventually when I got like deep into the anime community, I met people who were big Gundam fans, and so I ended up watching the film trilogy, which the third film in particular is really, really good. I still have not watched the full original show, which I know a lot of people argue is the better experience, so I will be doing so at some point. I've seen the first 10 episodes of Zeta Gundam, I think, which are quite good. Just never got around to more of it. Have I seen any other Gundams? I feel like I've seen bits and pieces of like all of them. Like a couple episodes of most of the Gundam shows. But I'm trying to think if there was another alternate century one that I liked. But I don't think there was. I think it's basically just G Gundam, and then, you know, I like everything I've seen from Universal Century. I saw the first 2 episodes of Unicorn, first couple of The Origin. It's all good. All the UC stuff I think that I've seen has been good, but I'm just like never completed any of it. So I guess my answer would be original Gundam. Like the original film trilogy is my favorite of what I've seen, but that's because it's the only thing like I've completed besides 0080, which would be my number 2 choice. All right, next super chat. MNNM with 15 whatever these symbols are. What will you do when you reach Q on Anime Alphabet, as there is 0 anime beginning with that letter? That's not true. Queen Emeraldus begins with a Q. Queen Millennium also begins with a Q. I think I was planning to do one of those. As for future rounds of Anime Alphabet, because the idea with it is that, you know, there's supposed to be like, I want to say 12 or 13 ideas I had for like different genre alphabets to run through, and eventually, yeah, you run out of Q's pretty quick. So I decided that I would just replace them with S's, like any for Q, Z, and there was another letter that's uncommon enough. I had to do this for, I don't remember, but X, Q, Z, and X, all of them. When I ran out of stuff from that letter, I just started using stuff that either starts with an S or like some, you know, just like another letter that I wanted to use, because there's so much stuff that starts with an S. Trying to think of what else there was for Q, because I know there was more than just Queen Millennium, but it's only like a couple of things. It was like 2 or 3 anime that I was like, okay, this might be worth talking about. Let's see what else we got down here. Robert Sora with 5 euro, I think. Fan of yours since your Lane videos in 2013. Lots has changed, but your writing got only more actually poignant. Are you in Virginia? Keep on keeping on. I am in Virginia, and I know you've been watching me a long time, Robert Sora. I recognize your name and avatar. Anyway, you've been in the chat many, many, many times. But yeah, I agree that I think my style's gotten better. I mean, I feel a lot more responsibility in my writing now because I've gotten older. And like, I used to be very insistent that you should not look up to people under 30. Like, particularly if you are, much younger. Like, just, I'm not like far enough. I was not far enough along in life to have felt confident that I had enough things figured out that people should be listening to what I have to say seriously. And I didn't expect people to listen to what I had to say seriously. I expected them to listen to it sort of pseudo ironically, or, you know, just, I didn't expect to have the level of impact and for people to respect me the way they did, because I just never experienced that before. So like, being somebody who was suddenly being held accountable, like, I really rejected it because I was like, well, this isn't like, you should not be trying to copy me. I am not good enough to be copied, but I was copied anyways. And so, eventually I came to a point of having to be like, well, like, it's not about whether or not I'm ready. It's just like, people are going to copy me, so I have to do as good as I possibly can, like, I can't tell them no because they're not going to listen. I just have to be better, and it can be very hard to quantify what that means, but to me it means like being a better human, like a more empathetic, more perspective is the thing that is what makes this a career. There's a guy called the Company Man who I'm a big fan of, who does hip-hop analysis and reviews and interviews and stuff like that. And he once said in one of his videos, just, I sell perspective. And I was like, that's literally what I do. That is what journalism is you sell perspective. And how do you get perspective? Like, the perspective I was missing that made me feel incomplete as a person was the ability to go outside and participate in regular society and feel like I had a place there that made sense. And that was missing for me before I transitioned, because I didn't know, like, I knew there were things I could be that made sense within society, but nothing that I wanted to be. And so it was always this weird confusion of, like, sometimes playing the role just because I can and it's easier to play it than to not, and then other times just, not really having the emotional sort of strength to do that, and always sort of wondering if there was a better way. And so now that feel like I've found a better way, it's like I've gone out, I've had those experiences, I feel like I get the world and people better, so it's easier to comment on those things. And in particular, I get how different my audience is from, like, the rest of the world and regular, like how much of an insulated world we actually live in, like how much smaller it is than it all felt to me when I was growing up, where it seemed like the internet was this infinitely vast place where all this discussion was happening outside of what I could ever possibly see. And now I realize, no, it was never that big. Like, it was basically whatever I was seeing, that was it. There wasn't this vast sea of additional stuff that I was missing out on. Part of how I had this realization was actually because of returning to the band The Mars Volta as an adult. Because they were, like, my favorite band. They still are probably my favorite band, but, like, particularly when I was, like, 14, 15, I was obsessed with them. And, like, because of the fact that they're considered, a part of these certain genres of, like, salsa, funk, prog, jazz, fusion, like, I just kind of assumed that there was a bunch of stuff that sounds just like them. That, like, there must be tons of bands that I've never heard of that people, aren't talking about, because I didn't know that people were talking about the Mars Volta from my perspective, and, they were this niche band, and now I know that they're way more successful than I imagined, because, again, most people aren't discussing things You know, like most people don't just like talk about the stuff they like. They just like it and keep it to themselves. But like to me, it's like nobody likes this thing. Nobody's talking about it. And now more people are, because they've kind of had time to process it and like recognize that there wasn't a bunch of other bands that sounded like the Mars Volta. Like they had influences. You could compare them to, you know, like certain jazz fusion bands, certain prog rock bands, but they don't sound like them. They don't sound like King Crimson, or nothing else does. You know, like there are bands that took influences from these bands, but they don't sound like them. And like it kind of shrinks your world when you realize like, oh no, they really were the only ones who like ever did anything that was like this. And that kind of makes it all feel more manageable in a way, where, you know, again, I used to think, particularly the reason I had not covered Evangelion for a super long time was that it had this reputation for like, there's already so much discussion. But then I couldn't find it. Like, yeah, there's like the Ava Geeks forums and like communities dedicated to discussing Ava, but it's all like insular. It's all within itself and self-perpetuating. Like, it's not being, there's not a ton of YouTube videos talking about the deep secrets of Ava. And like, because of the fact that the people in these communities are, you know, mostly seeing the rest of that community's perspective, it's very limited compared to like the actual level of interpretation that, you know, everyone is having of the work on the whole. So, you know, all of that, like, really just, it changed my mentality about like what is the scale of this, you know, this whole thing of anime, of the discussion of anime, of you know, and also to rethink how long it would last. Like that it's not innate that there is an anime discussion community as a part of reality. You know, it's a thing that like happens to exist for as long as there are people who are interested in having that kind of discussion. And you know, I think the comments on the Anime Fans Where Are You video helped me a lot to realize like where did the discussion, like, not just like, oh, that the discussion went to Discord or whatever, but that like straight up the idea of discussion became unappealing. You know, like that the people got sick of discussion because of the way that it tended to be. And so like, if we want it to be something that exists, it has to be done in a way that is accessible and curated, you know, that like has to purposefully, that's the word I need. You know, it has to be done with a sense of exacting purpose in what we are trying to achieve, rather than you know, just being like loose tangential discussion. Anyway, I think there was another Hidden Music Island with 10 euros said, pick one or all. Shenmue, do you watch battle rap? Favorite Seiyu? I don't know anything about Shenmue, and I don't watch battle rap. I have seen some of it. I saw the movie Bodied, which was really, really good. It was really entertaining. It's a movie about battle rap, has a bunch of battle rappers in it, and the message of the movie is really interesting. Actually, that movie helped me a lot. I learned a very important lesson from that, because ultimately it's about how the world of being a battle rapper is of being an asshole. It's a world of like, you know, it's a game of verbally abusing one another. And the way you win that game is by being the worst person. And so, like, in the end of the movie, like, the hero has kind of become the ultimate villain, and that is his victory. And, like, you know, just kind of the recognition of, like, yeah, you can be right and completely talented, and, like, that just makes you an asshole who no one likes and wants to be around, you know, and I think it's a good message, a good, interesting movie. But that's most of my experience with battle rap is having seen that film and some videos of the people in that film doing battle raps. As for my favorite Seiyu, I've always been a big, well, not always. Initially, I did not like Kana Hanazawa when I first heard her, because she was mostly doing like really meek characters. But I became a huge fan. And Miyuki Sawashiro, both of them are probably like the most popular seiyuu of like that generation that I kind of like came up with, because the period of like 2007-8 was when I first like started understanding Japanese well enough to recognize that I, you know, like, oh, I've heard this voice before. And like my friend was really into seiyuu and would point them out to me. So like, you know, every time we're watching a show, he'd be like, oh, that's the voice of this character, that's the voice of this character. So like, you know, it's stuck out in my mind. But I guess I would say, like, while I can recognize great performances and all, I'm not like super passionate about voice acting as an art form, to the extent that like that's something I'm like spending a lot of time thinking about or looking into. So I have not kept up with seiyuu. I don't know who's popular now. I don't know who's like, I wouldn't be able to name a bunch of modern seiyuu. I could only probably name for you people who were popular back when I was first getting into seiyuu. So in that sense, I would say like I'm very lightly interested in them, and like you know, I'm always gonna notice if Takehiko, or not, that's the wrong word. Takehito Koyasu, that's who I'm thinking of. I almost said Takehiko Inoue. Takehito Koyasu, you know, has such an incredibly recognizable voice. He's been in more roles than any other voice actor ever. So like every time I hear him, I have to be like, ah, yeah, cool, it's him, you know. And if there's something unique about the performance, you go, oh wow, he's doing a different voice this time. But like, you know, that's kind of the extent of my thinking about voice actors typically. It's just like, oh yeah, it's him. I like that guy. Oh, never get tired of Hanakana. Okay, you can definitely get tired of her. She was in a lot of shows back in like 2011. I'm starting to wind down here, so if there's no more super chats, if anybody has any last words you want to get in before I shut this down, my back's starting to hurt, and I've worked through my anger at losing my Ninja Scroll video again. I will probably recut and re-upload it. Maybe I'll wait till tomorrow just to see if the copyright, you know, if my dispute goes through. Because the Akebi-chan video came back in a couple hours. It was no big deal. Probably could have done it the first time, honestly. Because it got taken down once and I just fully replaced it. And the second time I was like, well, let's try disputing it, because fucking, I don't know how many times I'm going to have to re-upload this shit. So if I'm lucky, the Ninja Scroll 1 will just get disputed, and the dispute will work, rather. Ooh, big crab. I got a super chat, but I'm getting gored by a big crab. I'm gonna take a second to escape from that scenario. Let's go ahead and climb away from Big Crab. He's hostile company. TrueFox1 with $10 says, after getting rid of a large portion of your anime merch collection, how has your relationship with materialism changed? Do you still have certain items you would like to own / look forward to owning? I wish I had gotten rid of a huge portion of my anime collection, but actually it's all just in storage, waiting to be sold. I'm not selling all of it, but yeah, I just, the majority of what I own is just in a shed in the backyard of the house I am staying in, so it has not like really gone anywhere. My relationship to materialism has definitely massively changed, though. To me, I mean, if you haven't seen my video Anime Fan Trap, that basically summarizes my feelings about, like, you know, the whole otaku room phenomena that I was trying to emulate with my room, of, like, basically being able to dissociate into, like having so many images and so much sensory overload around you that it's easy to like find something to just draw your eye and focus on, instead of just like, you know, being by yourself alone and like with your thoughts or whatever, in your own self. But like the whole arc of my vlogs began with the losing my mind in a room full of anime posters video, where like the point was how this was not working, how like it just made me very critical of all the posters and how much they suck, and like nitpicking all these details and just like not really feeling any emotional connection to all these products that, like, I understand why I have the relationship with those kinds of materials that I do. I consider it very generational, where when I was a kid, you know, the only way to interact with the thing you liked was to physically own a thing, or to talk to a person about the thing that you physically owned, you know, unless it was like on TV. And like, you know, when it came to TV, it was like everybody had to kind of be in sync of like, we all know we're doing the same thing at the same time every week, and that's what we're talking about. Whereas now it's like so chaotic. You have no idea what anyone's doing at any time, but you know, there's lots of places to talk about whatever you did. So so yeah, like the products, like, to me, I used to like go to Otakon and basically scour the whole convention hall looking for, you know, representation of things that I like that make me happy, so that I could buy them and put them in my house. And like, eventually it would become like, well, I haven't forgotten the thing. Like, this toy just reminds me of itself and like the money I spent on it, and like its own issues and existence, and like the lack of real. It's like, I'm not a major appreciator of the sculpt of the things and all that. Like, you know, I'm not passionate about the art of it in a way that should drive me to spend money on those kinds of things, you know. Like, the most reasonable way for me to be showing support to artists would be Patreoning podcasts I listen to, and, you know, like paying artists that I follow on Twitter or whatever. Like, the main way I actually engage with content being through internet feed, you know. And oh shit, like, even if I own a DVD of something, there is no fucking chance I am ever watching that DVD. It is so much of a pain in the ass to put in a DVD and go through all the menus and all the other bullshit, hook up whatever fucking necessary device can even run a DVD in this day and age. Like, there's just no chance. Even a Blu-ray. Like, I would way rather just download it and watch it or stream it or whatever. So, like, you know, that relationship to the media of like, oh, it actually has some meaning because it contains the work, or like pertains to it in a way that, you know, nothing else does. It's like, yeah, all that stuff's on the internet now, though. Like, everything is immortalized. I don't need there to be additionally an idol of it in my house, you know. Like, I could just go look at a picture of a K-On! If I want to. I don't need a toy to look at K-On! It would have been different if K-On! Was a show that aired on TV and then disappeared, you know, and like there was no more access to it, and like I could have the DVD, but I'd have to go watch it to look at pictures of the characters. But I could have a toy on my shelf. Like, there's none of that is there anymore. It's all just on the internet. So I think that's why, like, I just kind of see all that stuff as a waste. As like, I understand why this could have been appealing at a time, but you know, now it feels weird to even look at that stuff and think about where that money could have gone. You know, that like I can still get all the experience of loving the anime and the characters, you know, without having to have spent money that could have been used on something else, you know, in order to express that. You know, it's one thing if it's just to support the creators, but when you're going through all these layers of abstraction of purchasing physical goods, then like you're whittling down, you're paying for all this extra stuff that has nothing to do with what you actually got out of the thing, you know. So yeah, I have a complicated relationship with product for sure. You need them in physical space. I mean, I just don't think I get enough different out of like having a figure physically versus looking at pictures of it. And if anything, the pictures are usually better because it's professional photographers who are going to put it under dramatic lighting and like really get the most out of what can be, you know, how that thing can be framed. Whereas I'm just going to look at it, you know, and probably put it on a shitty, dusty shelf and not take care of it. Like, That's the other thing. I don't take care of my stuff well enough to like own anything that like is valuable only in that it is like preserved. That is not a way for me to have things. Like anything I'm gonna own needs to be something that is meant to be destroyed and replaced often. So that's kind of what I try to go for more so. All right, there's not any more super chats. I've answered them. So I'm gonna probably shut this down now. Thanks everybody for coming out, listening to me ramble about my thoughts on the potential community for a while. I had to get all of it out of my head so that I could get some reaction to it and, you know, spark some discussion, see if anybody's already interested, if they're already excited or wants to be a moderator or whatever. Because if there's no enthusiasm at all, then I'll probably just be like, okay, well, I don't care, you know, like this was a bad idea, but you know, we'll see. All right, let's go ahead and shut this down.